Hey, good morning. It's Howard of Avtransfers UK with another really exciting video. Well, this is going to be showcasing a couple of things. The main thing being DVHS, digital VHS. Not only digital VHS, but HD VHS. But before we get to that, let's look at what I'm going to be doing, using to capture the material from the DVHS machine. I picked up from Amazon Basics a very, very nice 5-lead 5-way component cable. These are my favorites because, well, they're about the best value. They vary from about 15 up to 20 pounds, probably a bit overpriced, but compared to what else you can buy, these are pretty darn good for the money. And what's nice about these is they're long. They've got a very nice sort of sheath over them made of some sort of cloth, and there's nicely detailed coloring, so left, right, audio, green, red and blue. And these you can get on Amazon Basics. This is a good length. This is apparently 6 foot or 1.8 meters. So let's see, is this as tall as me? And the answer is actually slightly taller. So I'm getting short. The other thing I've got here is also, which has just arrived today, which is why I've started this video. This is in order to help me capture the material out of the DVHS machine. So DVHS was basically digital VHS, a very little known final gasp of VHS to stay relevant, and it allows you to record and play digitally off a cassette or play analog old tapes as well. And it does a very good job of playing old tapes, which is probably why they are so desirable, but I'm more interested in the HD component of it. This is the power supply, very US looking, I must say. Very much not a UK looking power supply. I jolly well hope it has a fuse inside, because there ain't one in this thing that came with it, so I think people would be upset if they saw me using this. But to be honest, there's normally a fuse in here 99.9% of the time, so if it goes zap, it'll just blow the fuse in here. Unlikely, because I'm not going to be using it for very long, but that's how I'm going to use it. God, this plug is as big as the whole adapter. So what is this thing? This is an HDMI converter. I have no desire to link up component cables to my capture equipment. It's just too much of a mesh. For this, it's just not what I need, but this is the answer. So this takes 5 volts from your electricity TTTT, and it allows you to plug in your video, red, blue, green. Ooh, high quality, definitely high quality there. Only the best. It's metal though, but yeah. And audio, and outputs it as HDMI. Probably more and more of these need to be used now, because a lot of TVs now don't have the ability to process those. Yuck. Hey. Anyway, this is what we're going to use, because my capture box will accept that HDMI signal and do a good job of it. There you go. So let me tell you a bit more about this. So I encounter a lot of weird and wonderful formats, and HD VHS, or D Theatre as it was marketed as, was something I'd seen only once, I think, when I was living in South Africa. It was used to demonstrate a big display at the time, and I never saw it again. And then when I came to England, I saw there were a few of these units available, and I bought one at the time from an audio video shop that had one on display, and I luckily got with it a very nice Fujitsu demonstration cassette, a HD VHS demonstration cassette. And as I'm quite fond of these demonstration cassettes, I'm hoping to include that at the end of this video. So some very early HD format recordings. In the Japan area, there was a previous format to DVHS, which was WVHS, and that was also a high definition and backwards compatible, but it was purely analog. And that's another format that I do have here that I need to actually get around to reviewing and showing it to you on here, but nowhere near the quality of DVHS, which was the conventional PAL or NTSC version, or the HD VHS, which was D Theatre. In Japan, I think it was marketed as High Vision, something like that, High Vision VHS, something like that. So yeah, anyway, today I'm just going to show you some of the machine and some of the clips from it. I've got a couple of movies on there as well, which obviously will not play in a standard VHS player, and they're very nice quality, 5-channel sound, 1080i picture, pretty impressive for a videotape. Anyway, Howard from Avtransfers saying stand by and we'll take a look. Okay, so there's a quick look at the box. I've connected it up, left, right, green, blau und red, white and red, left and right audio. Okay, so now I'm going to find a power source, and the idea is I'm going to connect it via HDMI to this capture box, which is just over here. Okay, so I was going to do a whole video on the DVHS machine, the D Theatre, which is a beautiful high definition video machine. It plays and records digitally, and also it plays back analog cassettes at very nice quality. But it seems like it has suffered a failure. It has got bad capacitors in the system, probably on the digital board, which I've been told is the fault place. But I want to fix it. I don't really want to do a whole recap, but I'm going to see what I can do with a hot air gun and try and see if I can reconstitute the existing capacitors in the machine before doing any extreme repairs to it. These are known for capacitor failure. I've got 2 of these machines. I suspect the other one is still good, but because this isn't working and it's otherwise in beautiful condition, I'd like to try and fix it. So stick around and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so we have taken it out of the rack, and because I've put this Testcam multi-channel machine into the office, it's a little bit difficult to repair things at the moment because I don't have a workbench. So I need to work on things in a more creative way, and basically this is what I've come up with. It is it's kind of cool. This is basically a very nice stand from Unicol. It's used in things like presentations, that kind of stuff. But for the purposes of these videos, I'm thinking this is actually really good because I can actually move things under my feet. So the first thing I'm going to do here, okay, the screwdriver seems a bit big for our requirement. I'm going to pop the hood on this machine. Oh God. If I can. Let me see. Alright, that's a bit better. A bit of a stubby screwdriver. And let's just have a look-see. I can't remember what this machine looks like inside. I did post some stuff on forums and they said, replace the capacitors on the digital board. But from what they told me, that sounds like the headboard, the head amplifier board, which is basically full of surface mounts capacitors, which I'm not particularly adept at replacing, and certainly I don't want to replace them if I don't have to, but I know for a fact that is what has failed here. So let's just take a look. If it doesn't work, I'll have to demonstrate this format with the other one I've got, which is in another stand in another part of the office. But I digress. Let's see what we can do here first. Okay, so here we have this machine. Let's get a bit closer so you can see better. Trying to use this with my camera and see what I can do. So the digital board, is the digital board this board, or is the digital board that board? I suspect the failing in this machine is coming from here, but I can't remember. So there are certain boards that I'm not too bothered about. They all look like non-surface mount board capacitors, which is a good thing. And I'm just wondering now where to get started here, really. Basically, your head output goes into the bottom board, doesn't it? And these are all very much small capacitors. Now this is the point where I should be saying something intelligent, but instead I'm just looking I'm just looking with my eyes and thinking, oh god, where do I start here? Okay, so here is the tuner, not the tuner, here's the tuner. The tuner we do not need. Here is the board. Does this just come out? Does it unplug? It would be nice if it did. Be very nice if it did. I see 1, 2, 3. I suspect it might connect to the bottom board. Maybe I should take a look at the bottom board first before I get too excited. If it just plugs in, then I can take the board out and service it separately, which would be first prize. But let's just see what we can find. Okay, let's see. There was 1, 2 screws. Are there any other? Oops. Are there any other screws here? No, I don't see any others. I just see like edge clips, whatever you want to call them. Is this? Oh, very sharp plastic. I don't like that. Whenever I get like really sharp plastic, I think to myself, oh, rubbish, you know. I sort of think, you know, if they couldn't have, you know, smoothed off the edges to repair things, why on earth, you know, if they don't smooth things off here in a way that you can actually open the machine without cutting yourself to blazes, then it's sort of like, well, they obviously didn't want people to service these things. It's missing a screw in front. I don't know why. It's a bit rude. Anyway, I probably doesn't need these screws, but I'm going to just amuse myself and take them off anyway. Oh, this has been glued on. Oh yes, when it arrived and it had lost a foot because my wife dropped it when it arrived. They handed her the box and she said it's too heavy and she just dropped it. And fair enough, I get that, but I mean, for all I know, that could have been the reason it's not working. But needless to say, I glued this in, and I probably shouldn't have glued it in, because now it's making my life just a little bit harder to open this thing. Does this come out? Yes, it does. Good. Does this come out? Yes, it does. Let's just see here. Sorry, it's just got a million clips here, and I can guarantee you, once you've bent these clips out, they'll never clip in the same way again. Let's just see here. This is very stubborn. Let me just try that again. Okay, I'm just testing a new card. It seems like the memory card was just full. I thought the battery was finished. Okay, so I've taken out the board. I've taken out the board, the suspect board. Now you can see here it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 24, 25 capacitors. And I should probably replace them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run them all with hot air. I'm going to see if I can reform them in a very basic way, just to get this thing to work. Because this circuit just, I could send it away for recapping. But, you know, I'm not ever so keen to sit and recap that. The other thing I've noticed here is in the actual machine, this board here, this plug is very, very, very frail here, very wobbly here. It may or may not be, you know, affecting the system, but it looks like it's a bit suspect. like either it's been out before or there's some, you know, corrosion here. I think this is probably quite important. So I'm going to check that cable and see if it's good. Okay, so now I'm going to get the hot air machine and I'm going to try and reflow these capacitors. I'm not a big fan of recapping things, mainly because I don't have the eyes to do it. I could send this away for recapping, but it might be a bit overkill for just a simple VCR. But I think a bit of hot air would do a lot of good on it. Is there stuff on the backboard, the back side of it? Let's have a look and see. Let's try to get the back side off of this. Okay, no, it's just heat sink. Some sort of interesting liquid there. I don't know what that's from. Probably just a thermal compound. And there's a lot of processing going on in here. But okay, this is all non capacitor stuff. You can see how baked it is here from the heat. Alright, let's just put that back then. I don't need to fiddle with that. So basically this board does all the clever stuff, I guess. You know, here it's got your optical out, the fire wire in. So this will accept HDV signals that are US formatted. So basically 60 Hertz signals. So not much good here in the UK, but I could feed it something from a 60 Hertz source. I do have NTSC compatible stuff, but that's not really the main thing. I just want to see if I can play tapes on this, right? So let me get the hot air machine out, see what we can do. Now I must point out, sometimes this works, sometimes this doesn't work. Sometimes it works briefly and sometimes it doesn't work at all. But it's the most genteel way of trying to bring this back to life, at least for a time. So let's try it out. Got the old heat gun, the hot air machine. Let's see, it's setting up to 450 degrees. Let's see. Let's start with one and I'm not going to ruin too much. Let's reflow the capacitor. Oh, is it hot? Yeah, you could say it's hot. Alright, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently go over this with hot air. Not to the point that things become detached from the main board. But basically I have a theory about these things, other than them being total crap, which of course they are. My theory is as follows. Capacitors that have very low voltages, have very low power signals going through them, when they fail, they just fail in a way that is dead. Okay, where am I going with this theory? Okay, no, this theory doesn't actually, no, as I'm thinking about my theory in my head, it's really not making a lot of sense. So I think I'll just stop that theory. Basically, these capacitors have either dried out or just not had enough use. But this is a nice way of trying to see if these are actually the fault of the machine. Basically, when I got the machine, it had no video out. Okay, no video out from the tape. It had video out, but no picture. The analog stuff was just snow, and the digital was working. So I thought, okay, well, if the digital's working, that's good enough. I don't need the analog out. I've got enough analog NTSC machines. But then, on testing it the other day for the video, I discovered that the video on the digital side had failed and only produced a picture when I fast forwarded through the tape, which is obviously when the RF level coming through the system is much higher. So I figured, well, if that's the case, there must be a problem in the head preamp, and which is in here, or in this board. And most people say this is the board you need to look at. So you know what? I'm just running some hot air over this. Shock horror. These are very small capacitors. What are they, like Let me get my magnifying glass. Have a look at this. Oh God, sorry. Let's see, what have we got here? We've got 47 UF, 47 100, 47, 47, 40, a lot of 47s, 22, 10, 10, 100, 10. Probably the 10s are the ones that have failed, to be honest. But often I find this fixes things. I've often fixed machines just by using hot air. I'm looking for any cracks in the board, any other issues. I don't see any. But it could be anything. You really need to be a bit of a sleuth. But I would imagine the problem is not so much in the outputs. The problem is probably on this side where the decoding is happening. This is obviously the encode chip. And yeah, I'm being very cheeky here. I know, I'm being extremely cheeky. But if I switch it on and it produces a picture, I would have known that my mission was a success. This is probably where it is. I probably got capacitors that I could use. But I mean, obviously there are probably more capacitors I'm not aware of here. So really, this is just like a blanket kind of, let's see what we can do. I'm probably destroying the capacitors at some level. Okay. Okay, I think that's good enough. For now, I put the hot air gun away. It's going to switch off. I'm just looking here. Let me just feel these. I feel you, baby. Did I even heat these up enough? I'm scared to no, they're not that hot. They're not crazy hot. But they would probably never get that hot under real use circumstances. So yeah, I'm just looking at this. Just looking at this with great interest and thinking, well, do I really want to recap this whole thing? I really don't. It's going to be a right raw pain in the rectal passage to recap this. But I'm going to let it cool off a little bit. I definitely feel these should get a bit more heat. This area here should get a bit more. Figaro, 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 Figaro. Probably doing untold damage to other components, but hey, you know what? So what? It's working anyway. Let's just say if this does work, even if it's for a short time, I can say for sure, okay, this is the area that needs to be reworked. Let's just say if I was a schlenter on eBay and I wanted to sell something working, I would do this, and then I'd sell it as working. And then when it packs up in 2 months' time, I'd say, oh, sorry. But I'm not a schlenter. I'd rather not fix it, so I'd probably sell it as a needs this job done to this job doing to it. All right. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but I just feel that it might. What is also bothering me here is this cable. So what I will do is, let me close this up quickly. Where should it go? Which way did it go now? Is that right? Looks right. Okay. No, it is not right. It has to go more this way. Okay, that's good enough. It's not going to cause any hardship to anybody. Right, let's... and the other thing I'm going to check is that cable. Because the machine was dropped on this side, and that cable may have taken a knock. I don't know how. Heat gun is still on. I don't know why it's still on. It's just cooling off now. I normally set it to about 450 degrees. Okay, this is supposed to plug in somewhere, which obviously I can't get to now. Where was this plugged in? Was it here? I think it was. Got such a headache today. Had a headache for a couple of days. I flew recently back from the Middle East, and I just got such a headache since I've been back. Maybe it's just that, oh, I'm home now, I have to get back to work, finish with my holiday. And, yeah. Right. So we've got a couple of cables here. I don't think that this is a problem. Just trying to remember how these all fitted. Where's my phone? I took some photos with my phone to remind me of where everything was. Excuse me. Ah, there's my phone. Alright. Oh, that didn't sound good. The sound of a screw falling to the ground. Right, so let's have a look here. So we've got Face ID. Alright, let's just see what I took a picture. I took a picture here of where these were plugged in. So yellow was on the left. Basically, if these cables aren't great, I'm wondering if there's some issue with the cables. That would be a nice problem to have, because that could be fixed quite easily. Yellow on the left, red on the right. That's something I wouldn't have remembered if I hadn't taken a photo. Can you believe that? And these cables, these obviously are power because they're not screened. So I guess, well, they're not obviously power, or maybe they're control signals. Whatever doesn't need to be screened is that. Now, I have not soldered a single thing on here. All I've done is apply heat to the board. I might just re-earth it somehow in the summertime. I've got here a couple of cables. Oh, there's the one that was down there. I haven't reconnected it. Let me just get a meter out and check this cable. That side is good. This side, not so good. It might just be coming off for no real reason, apparently. I wonder if I put a bit of heat on there, if I could reactivate the glue. Let me just try that. It's not a bad idea. Just a little bit of heat, not enough to kill it. Oh, idiot out. Oh, let me just do that again. Sorry. There we are. So, let me just try and reactivate that glue a little bit. Oh, this is very hot. Make no mistake. That's a hot monkey. Sometimes you can just reactivate glue. And that's what I'm trying to do here, because the glue is basically important to keep the thing from breaking. Right. Alright, that seems to have actually done a good job, surprisingly. Right. Now the side that was broken was on this side. Was it? Was it like that? Must have been like that. Hope it was like that. If it goes bang when you switch it on, then you know it wasn't. It must have been like that, because how else would this connect? I'm going to turn this around, because I've got more leverage on this side, and leverage is good for this type of thing. Oh Jesus, this cable is really in bad shape. I've got to tell you, this is actually in bad shape. Must mean somebody worked in it at some point. Anyway, so I'm going to put the worst side on there, on that side. I hope I'm not making a terrible mistake. Let me just see here. It's really the same cable. It's a straight cable. It's not even a twisted cable. So I would imagine this would be okay. I don't want to keep doing this. It will fail if I keep doing this. It will fail catastrophically if I keep doing this. So I don't want to be doing that all the time. I really don't. This cable, what is it? How many pins is this? 12. Okay, it's a 12 12 ribbon cable. I could get another one of these. I'm sure I've got some of these. It's not that uncommon, this cable, thankfully. So if it is broken, I can get another one. But I'm just curious to see if this is where the problem is coming from, this cable. So let me just get these out. Let me get these plugged in where they should be. This one goes in here. Some of this I did off camera because I ran out of film in my camera, right? I ran out of film. I don't like these connectors particularly. This would have been probably here. I guess it would have been. This would have been here. And why am I missing one? Is there something supposed to be plugged in here that I've missed? Really? No. I don't think there was, to be honest. I don't think there was, Mrs. Moneypenny. Alright, well. I'm hoping that this will be better now. I must get a new one of these 12 pin flat ribbon cable. Just check these all out, see they're all happy in there. So there we go. It is. This is an earth strap. Where did this go? It must have gone here. No? Like so. Yeah, it must have gone like that. Alright, yeah, so I've got put the heat gun off. So this is basically just a very simple test. Put a tape in, see if it produces a picture. If it does, then we know that was the fault. If it doesn't, then we'll have to scratch our heads a bit longer and make this into a 6-part episode of how we repair this thing. But I'd probably replace this cable, right, for starters. And take it from there, I guess. So you see, everything happens through this board. This goes to your analog outputs. This board does everything, analog and digital. This is very interesting. I still think there's a problem in the head preamp, and the head preamp is probably underneath this board. But anyway, I don't care that much about it. I care a little bit, but not that much. Let me see. That's plugged in mostly. That's not right. There. There we go. That screw is not in there. Let's pop that one in. Look at my shaky fingers and shaky hands. Shaky fingers, shaky hands. Isn't that a song? Shaky. No, it's not. You're thinking of something else. Shaky fingers, shaky hands. Does it have to be screwed all the way in? No, not really. It's just screwed in enough that it's got something to support it. There we go. And then the back has got one screw. Alright, a lot of these cables are very broken, you see, they're very sort of harassed, a lot of these cables. I'm sure someone else, now you might look at this spring, here, look at this spring, right? Look at this, does this look like that's right? Let me tell you what, that is actually right, because I had another machine I returned because I thought it was manhandled. It's actually supposed to look like that, the spring. Very discouraging. Look, hey, this, you know what I'm also going to do? I know this sounds crazy. I'm going to actually clean the head while I'm here. Just by the very small off chance that this is all due to dirty head. Unlikely, but not impossible. The other bits definitely feel quite dirty, but not enough for me to get pushed out. Okay, here's some paper. Sweet cheese Louise. Let's have a look and see what we can do here. There's a lot of heads on this drum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's a little bit of dirt there, not enough to lose a picture, I don't think, but you never know. Yeah, alright. Let's clean that off, that little control head thingy. The rubber's definitely a bit tired on this, but hey, it shouldn't be that bad. This paper is quite nice just to clean things off. It's quite gentle. Gentle on my mind. Gentle. This could definitely use some more grease, but I'm not going to worry with that right now. It's a very plasticky rubbish mechanism. It's a shame, really. Oh, there's a belt here. What does this belt do? This belt is a bit loose. I don't know. That belt isn't going to last very long, I can tell you now. It's just the load, unload. Okay, let me go find some power for this. Okay, so I've just plugged it in. It's powered up. It's a good start. Now I've got an analog NTSC tape. I like my music videos. I often just make music videos to watch at home. Now before it wouldn't work at all. It wouldn't produce picture or sound on analog tape. If it produces any kind of audio, I'd be very happy. I can't tell what it's actually doing, if it's actually working or not. I think I have to plug in a TV. It looks like it's working, but it may not be working. So let me just get a TV connected and we can check it out. Stand by. Okay, so I got excited that it was going to work, but it's not. It just says calibrating, and that's as much as I'm getting out of the tape, which is a shame, but not unexpected. Let me just see here. If I just jiggle that little bad connection, let's see if we can get anything out of here. That might just suggest there's a problem with the cable. Wishful thinking, hey Howie? Yeah. No, unfortunately there's nothing there. If I fast forward, you'll see there'll be a picture coming up. It'll make it through the picture. But yeah, this machine needs a complete recap. It might also improve a bit as the machine warms up. But yeah, I think this one is a goner. Let's just try to play that again. Try to play a normal tape and just see what happens. Yeah, there are hints of video coming through here. If you look at the picture, you'll see there are hints. There are hints that there is some life in it. If I take off the noise thing, there are definitely, it looks like there's some signal going through. What I might do is put some heat on here in this area here and see if any heat in here produces any improvement in the playback. So I'm just checking the capacitors in here. I don't want to touch anything or zap anything. I was really hoping that would make an improvement. Yeah, you just kind of want to don't want to zap anything. I'm just hoping that by heating up something in the right place, it might just give us a bit more hope. Nothing yet, but you never know. I wonder, is this going to be a full recap? It probably is. Okay, so here's just a quick look at the JVC board, and this has been recapped by yours truly. A painful and laborious process of, I think it was 25 capacitors that I've recapped, and the results remain to be determined, but there it is. So there we go. He calls her the chocolate girl. So there we go, that's working. The board is replaced in the machine, and we've got NTSC playback. I put this time-based corrector on. 3D NR. I was actually trying to work out what that was, and I realized that must be the time-based corrector there, because that says 3D over there. But is it going to work on digital? I doubt it, but let's try. So this is weird. When I play the tape, it comes up with HS, and it shows DVHS and everything, but there's no picture. And then when I hit fast forward, I get that, which is very weird. If I push play, picture disappears. Okay, so in my endeavors to try and fix the problem with this machine, I've taken out the power supply, and I notice there's a lot of very low value caps here, and I'm keen to change them, but I thought before I do that, let me pull out the power supply of my working HD VHS and put it in there, because if this solves the problem, then I know the power supply is at fault, so it'll save me time if this does resolve the problem. So let's plug it in and see what happens. It's Howard here of Avtransfers. This is what day 4 of trying to repair this machine. Let me explain what's been done on this DVHS so far. I've replaced all the capacitors with exact values in here in the digital board. That's been totally overhauled with all the capacitors I'm able to change. The head amplifier, I replaced 8 of 10 capacitors as well, so I can rule out the fault being in here or in here if it's capacitor related. The last challenge, the last part I've got, is to change the capacitors in the power supply, which is what I'll be doing today, and I'll be changing all the low value capacitors and checking for obvious problems, and I'm hoping that will rectify the fault, but I haven't succeeded yet, and I'm almost ready to hang up the towel on this one, so we shall see. We shall see. Stand by. I've amazed myself. I actually managed to open up the power supply, and I'm looking at the boards here. This is a sub board, and I'm look at all the heat there. I don't think that in itself is a problem, but I suspect these capacitors may be a bit baked. And also, if you look at the final output here, it's very baked. So I'm going to probably replace these capacitors and those capacitors. I don't see any bulging capacitors anywhere else, but obviously if I've got spares I will. But these all look actually quite happy in here. There's nothing really catastrophic in there, so I'm just planning to replace these. I think that's where the main difference could be felt, but we shall see. We shall see. Also going to be quite scientific about this. I've got a capacitor tester, and I'm going to put these Duraleak batteries in. Only the best. Let's just see if it works. Put the power on. Put the power on, Kenneth. Yeah. Okay. We are going to test the capacitors. And what we're going to do is check, as we pull them out, if they give any crummy values, because then we'll be able to know if we're actually doing the right thing. Okay, so here's the first 100. It's measuring 94.9 microfarad. Is that enough? I'm not sure. Hang on. The second one is measuring 97. I don't think that's enough to cause a catastrophic non-decoding, but we'll change them anyway. I don't know what to tell you. The ones I'm measuring, the brand new ones I measured, are actually worse than the ones that were in the machine. Is that even possible? The first replacement cap I measured was 90, and the second one, brand new cap, 93.8. So what the hell? The first board recapped. I didn't get bad readings of these capacitors, but seeing I was there, I thought I'll just put 2 new ones in. They don't measure much different, but perhaps there's something that I'm not able to read on the tester that is causing the problem. So yeah, I also went over all of the spots that get hot, and I reflowed the solder, and now we're going to do the same on the big board. I can confirm that nothing was really out of spec. I mean, I had about 80% of the replacement capacitors, and the ones that I couldn't replace, they were well in spec. I focused mainly on the secondary side of the power supply. On the primary side, there are 1 or 2 that are probably going to go out at some point, but if it's still working, leave it. So everything on this side I've replaced except for 2, that one and that one, because I didn't have them, and the one they tested okay. So it's quite useful to be able to test the capacitors in there and see if you're wasting your time. Let's just say if the power supply didn't start, then I would replace these ones. So yeah, only 3 on that side. Yeah, I'm still scratching my head. So I'm going to put it back together now and see if it made any difference. Good morning, this is Howard of Avtransfers UK. Well, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? The bad news is that I was unable to repair the DVHS machine. After replacing all the capacitors in the VCR, practically everything in the power supply, everything in the headboard, everything in this board, everything in that board, I ended up with less picture than I started with. I even had to cut open this can because it's not very serviceable. You can't just pull this off. It's actually soldered onto this board and soldered from underneath, and it was such a mission just to get this open, only to find that there was hardly anything in there worth worrying about. They were all traditional capacitors, and I didn't see anything that was standing out as a problem. So the other machine I'm going to refer to a friend of mine, and if he can't fix it, and he's the sort of oscilloscope expert, then I'm just going to keep it as a spares machine, because I know that the head and mechanism are okay on the other one. So this is my other machine. This is the other machine. So this is the only other one I've got like this, and this one is working. Interestingly enough, it didn't actually work when I first switched it on. It took about 10 minutes to warm up. So I think it's only a question of time before this one fails as well. So yeah, if you're into DVHS, just be aware, unless you're an absolute vindicant on fixing these things, even if you have above average knowledge on fixing these machines, they're a Nightmare. Yeah, that's right, a nightmare in German, Nightmare. So yeah, so I'm just going to put a bit of a show on here. Now this is a DVHS tape playing. It came with the other machine actually. I think it is recorded off cable, and when you run a digital tape, it actually comes up as DVHS, and it shows you HS, which is, I suppose, the highest quality, and tape speed is pretty much the same as VHS. I mean, if it's slightly different, okay, fine, but it matches up with, I think, NTSC VHS, maybe more like a PEL VHS speed, I don't know. If you look at the head and the spinning, it's all pretty civilized. And it also plays back analog recordings as well. What's nice about it at the back, it's got a nice fan that, if it's working, is good. It keeps the power supply nice and cool. And it's got your normal video ins and outs as well as SVHS, but it also has component, and I'm going to use these to record a sample of the DVHS sampler tape, and that's going to come up right after this video. So just in the interest of completeness, I wanted to show you what a DVHS tape looks like in a traditional analog VCR. That's what it looks like. No sound, no picture. The only thing that suggests that there's a recording on here is the fact that the time code is reading. So it's reading something off the edge track, which obviously it still relies on. But take it out and let's pop it. This is just running obviously on standard definition for the purpose of this demonstration. The other thing about this machine is when I started running it, because it hasn't run in so long, it actually had a bit of rigor mortis, so I had to re-lubricate a lot of the gears and things, but it seems to be better now. Okay, so now we'll put the tape in, we'll push play. So what happens, if you're lucky, is straight away it'll show you. That's it. So it went straight into high definition. Now what's also interesting about this recording, on the traditional tape, this is also a digital recording, but it's been done on SVHS tape, and it took a lot longer for it to recognize a digital recording. But with the DVHS tape, straight away it came up with the DVHS picture. So I think that's more a function of the fact that there may be a little hole, an extra hole in the bottom of the cassette that tells the machine that it's a DVHS cassette. But that did actually save a lot of time playing back, and that actually looks like it's playing slightly faster. Or is that my imagination? But that's just through the NTSC viewing, and I'm going to hook that up with the HD connection in just a moment. Stand by. So all of this in the end worked out okay. I've established that this machine works. Thank the Lord. And there it is, happily playing a high quality DVHS tape. Now I know I spoke about doing a capture via HDMI, but that did not work. The HDMI converter was proving to be too fiddly. So eventually I just took the nice component cable, I don't know if you can see it in there, it's a bit dark, hey? And took that into the output of the VCR and straight into the capture box, and here we are capturing some DVHS finally. And I'll be putting that up after the video. So thanks so much for watching. Yeah, I know that a lot of people make things look very easy on the internet, so either they're brilliant or they don't show when they mess up, or like me, when they do mess up they share it with everyone. So I made a big mess up with the one machine. I'm hoping to rectify it, but realistically, I mean, who cares anyway? How many DVHS tapes are there going to be going around that people need transferring? Probably zilch. I have other DVHS machines that are not HD, but this is an HD version, and there are any number you can buy secondhand, but most of them are going to have the same problems that I encountered. So I figure if I've got one that's working, I should consider myself lucky and leave it at that and keep the other one for spares. Certainly heads, mechanisms and things generally don't wear well in these machines, and they're coming up for what, 15-20 years old now already. So really, you know, how collectible are these things going to be? I don't think very, but they're a curiosity, and I hope that you've enjoyed this little journey with me. As always, I'm always trying to do things that make no financial sense but are just fun to do, and this is one of those things. So Howard from Avtransfers, where we do transfer your videos just because we like to do that. Thank you for watching, and have a good day, and keep subscribing and enjoying the videos with us. And if you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see, please drop us a line on the comments below. Thanks again.